Hey guys, good morning. This is Ashton's podcast today. It's 10:23 here in the morning on July 3rd. So today we're going to talk about mainly NBA free agency and where everybody's going. So I kind of wanted to start off talking about Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and DeAndre Jordan. They all three went to the Brooklyn Nets, and I think that was a huge signing for them. Kevin Durant is out for all of next season, but Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant both signed 4-year deals, so they'll get Kevin Durant for at least 3 of those years. Kyrie Irving should be good for all 4 years. It will be the Kyrie Irving show in Brooklyn for at least a year, and then Kevin Durant will come on in. DeAndre Jordan is really good friends with Kevin Durant, so he was like, you know what, let's team up. And Kyrie Irving's really good friends with Kevin Durant as well, so all 3 of them agreed to go to Brooklyn to play with friends, and I think it will be a fun show to watch. Brooklyn will be really entertaining. Next year, I'll see them getting an early exit in the playoffs because Kevin Durant isn't going to be there at all. He's going to be out with that Achilles injury, so that'll be a big blow for them. But they'll still have a good year. They'll be I think the 6th or 7th seed in the East, pretty much. Kawhi Leonard, he is still undecided yet. There's been a lot of talks that he could either sign with the Lakers, the Clippers, or Toronto. I don't think he's going to the Lakers as much as I would like to see him go to the Lakers. I don't think he's going. I think he goes to the Clippers because the Clippers have a really run well organization, and are first class all the way around. And the Clippers they have the coach, they have the front office, they have a really good team, and they're just missing a Kawhi Leonard to put them on top in the West and possibly win a championship. So that's what they're missing. If he goes back to Toronto, there's a really high chance they're the favorites to come out of the East and win it again. And so anywhere he goes, he's going to be favored to go to the NBA Finals and possibly win a championship next year. So Kawhi, he's just taking his time. He doesn't need to rush anything. I think he's earned the right to take his time and really think over where he wants to be for the next 3, 4, 5 years of his career. So Toronto, he's done everything for that city that they could have asked for, and he brought a championship. And so there will be no hard feelings if Kawhi leaves because they would start a rebuild. And so he's all good there. Toronto, the Clippers, they really want to win now. And so they're banking on Kawhi coming in. And the Lakers, they want another star. But if they don't get Kawhi Leonard, they should go out for shooting. There's been a lot of great shooters that have been taken already off the market, but they just need to go find some shooting, and they should be fine because the pick and roll with LeBron James and Anthony Davis will be good all day long. Nobody can really stop those two. When you have arguably two of the top 5 players in the NBA, you should be fine. As long as you have some shooting, you're golden to get to the playoffs and compete for a championship. So there's that. And then I see that Boogie Cousins there's no where that he has signed yet. He may go back to Golden State, but with Kevin Durant's departure, he's probably not going to go back, but he can if he wants to. A lot of people have been talking about Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins teaming up again. Boogie Cousins coming to LA, and I think that would be a match made in heaven again, because we've already seen them play in New Orleans and they did really well together. I wouldn't give DeMarcus Cousins uh, the max, because the salary cap for the Lakers is 32 million, and I wouldn't give all 32 million to DeMarcus Cousins. I would at least give 10 million. I would do that, but not 32. He's not worth that in my eyes. Um, he's he's a really good player. I think DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis pick and roll game. You could choose which, if you're LeBron James and you have the ball, you do pick and roll, and you have DeMarcus Cousins on one side and Anthony Davis on the other. I mean, it's it's pick your poison pretty much when you're playing defense, and there's no good options there if you're playing defense. So that would be a scary team to go up against if DeMarcus Cousins were to go to LA with the Lakers. DeMarcus Cousins, he'll find a team. It's probably going to take him some time. Um, the Warriors and the Lakers are probably his two top options at this point. And so there's that. And then I saw that Kemba Walker went to Boston, and he is basically taking the role on of Kyrie Irving. And that will be interesting because you're just swapping out one dominant ball handler for another. So I don't know if Boston will have the same problems like they did last year. Probably not, because I think Kemba will be more willing to give up the ball because he's never been in a winning situation before. So he'll probably give up the ball a lot more than he was in Charlotte, because Charlotte, he was a one-man show. He had to be, because nobody else was good enough on that team to help him compete for the playoffs. And so Charlotte's been a terrible team the last 5-6 years. So he's going to a winning organization for the first time in his career. He's only made the playoffs once, and that was back in 2012, 2013, and he's never made it back since. So Kemba Walker, if you haven't heard of him, he's 6'1". He went to UConn. He helped him win a national championship. He's a really good ball handler. He can score the ball with ease, and he'll put on a highlight reel every at least one highlight reel per game. So I think Boston's getting a really good point guard. Again, I don't know. They might have the same problems because they're getting another ball dominant player, but again, I think he may be willing to give the ball up. And then Jimmy Butler going to Miami. That kind of surprised me. I thought he would either stay in Philadelphia or go to Houston. I didn't really see him going to Miami. Now, he'll be the best player on the Miami Heat team. Miami's wanting to get rid of Goran Dragic, their starting point guard. I think Goran was an all-star a couple years ago, and he's kind of just fallen off in talent, and he's not what he once was. He's still a good hard basketball player. He plays it on both ends. That's why he got the all-star vote a couple years ago. But Jimmy Butler, him and Pat Riley are like a match made in heaven. They're both hard competitive guys. They're not going to take your bull crap to say, and they want people that are going to compete on both ends, and they want to build that winning culture in Miami, and Jimmy Butler wants to be a part of that culture. And the Miami Heat, they will probably be an 8th seed next year, is my guess. 8th or 9th seed, like they were this year. Jimmy Butler is better than Dwayne Wade was last year. So Dwayne Wade, as good as he was last year, it was his retirement year. He was going to do everything in his power to give us a good go. But I wish I would have seen Dwayne Wade in the playoffs, but didn't get that wish, so that stunk. But Jimmy Butler will put Miami in the playoff contention, but they'll probably get swept in the first round. They'll get knocked out in the first round. The Miami Heat don't really have any other players other than Jimmy Butler, and they had a center, Hassan Whiteside. He went to Portland, so they don't really have a center right now or anybody in the low post that can do anything, so it's all just Jimmy Butler, and that's probably not the best thing for Jimmy right now because he's going to get all the main attention, but Jimmy will be fine. He'll put him to the 8th seed at least, and they'll do fine. The Jazz, they've been making moves since my last podcast. They've gotten Mike Conley in a trade, and they signed Boban Bogdanovic. I'm pretty sure I said his name right. Mike Conley, he was the starting guard in Memphis, and he got traded because Memphis drafted John Morant, and John Morant's era has started in Memphis. So it was time for Mike Conley to leave Memphis and go play somewhere else, play on a contender. Utah got Mike Conley and Boban Bogdanovic. Mike Conley is a really good two-way player. He plays defense really well and offense pretty consistently. He's a 20-point scorer, and he can get you. He led the league at one point in steals. This was back in 2010-11, but he's still he plays defense pretty consistently, and he will get you steals when you're not expecting it at the most. And Boban, he was the Pacers' leading scorer when Victor Oladipo went down last year, and the dude can stroke it when he's on fire. He almost, back a couple years ago when it was LeBron's last year in Cleveland, the Cleveland Cavaliers almost got knocked out of the playoffs because of Boban Bogdanovic, because he was just going off, hitting threes from every direction, and then when Boban went cold, that's when the Pacers lost, and that's when LeBron took over, and he just basically showed the world, I am the best player, and it does not matter what seed I am, I'm going to get back to the finals. I am the best. So the Jazz, my bad, excuse me, the Jazz, those two signings will be huge. They traded Jay Crowder to Memphis and Cal Korver to Memphis as well, but they got Boban Bogdanovic back and Mike Conley, so they will be a very stout defensive team. They will be probably a top 5 defensive team next season, is my guess, because they got the 2-time reigning defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, then Mike Conley, and then Donovan Mitchell can play some defense as well. Boban can play some defense, and then Joe Ingles, he can stroke it from deep and play a little bit of defense as well. So that will be a really stout defensive team. Then I think the Jazz will be at least a top 5 team in the East and the West. My bad, excuse me. And the Denver Nuggets got a steal in the draft, which I thought was huge. Bol, and Bol is a top 5 talent. Was a top 5 talent in the draft, and he fell all the way to the second round. he's a 7 foot center. He has ball handling skills. He can shoot it from deep. I mean, Bobo can pretty much do a lot of stuff offensively and defensively. He's an elite shot blocker. He he will he will do it all. And he fell to the second round to the Denver Nuggets. Denver is going to be stout next year because they have Michael Porter Jr. coming off of injury, and they have to inquire him the the lineup, and Bol. Denver is only their stock is only increasing from here, and they will probably be the first seed, if not the second seed, depending on where Kawhi goes and if the Lakers get shooting in free agency. The Denver Nuggets are probably going to be the number one seed in the West and going to the NBA Finals if you're not careful, because Michael Porter Jr. was supposed to be, a couple years ago, the number one overall pick. He had an injury to his back and surgery on his back, and then he fell all the way to the last pick in the lottery, which was the Denver Nuggets, and he went like 14th or 15th. And then Denver Nuggets get another steal this draft, Bol, and Denver already has elite playmakers pretty much on every level, from Will Barton to Beasley. Michael Beasley. No, that doesn't sound right. It's Beasley. And then they have Jamal Murray. They lost Isaiah Thomas, my bad, excuse me, in free agency. And they got Jamal Murray. Gary Harris, he's gonna help them stroke it from deep. They got Michael Porter Jr., Bol, Nikola Jokovic. I think they still have Paul Millsap. I mean, they are loaded. They will be fine. And then, so Denver will be fine. So, and then this Philadelphia 76ers, they got better in the low post because they got Al Horford. They lost Jimmy Butler, but they got Al Horford, who was with the Boston Celtics for a few years. Al Horford, he's a really stout defensive player, and he'll help Joel Embiid grow. Joel Embiid, his one struggle was against Al Horford, and they happened to just snag Al Horford in free agency, and so Al will definitely help Joel Embiid with his growth. There's always things for players to improve, so Joel will probably get a lot of help from Al Horford, and they were able to keep Tobias Harris, which a lot of people were I think would have rather lost to keep Jimmy Butler, but Tobias, he's a good player. He'll be fine. And they managed to get Al Horford. And so that will be something, but Ben Simmons has to get a jump shot for Philadelphia to be in title contention. He has to start shooting jump shots, whether that's from the free throw line on, like 3-point shots. He's got to start somewhere, and he's got to start shooting outside the paint if he wants to be considered arguably a top 5 player in the NBA, because he has all the skills that you want. He's basically a LeBron James, but without a jump shot. He's 6'10". He can get up and down the floor. He's a really good ball handler. He's a good decision maker. He's just a jump shot away from being considered another LeBron James in the game. And all he shoots, I am not kidding you, is within inside of 5 feet in the paint. Like anything other than that, he's not going to do it. He will not do it, and he's not a good free throw shooter at all either, which also worries me a little bit, because when I think his free throw numbers are also kind of getting in his head a little bit, because the dude, I've seen videos where he just pulls up. This is like in practice at all. This is in practice. Just him just shooting jump shots. He'll make nothing but net. But when he gets into a game, he doesn't even attempt one. Like, he just doesn't. And that's really concerning for the Philadelphia 76ers, because if they want to get to the finals and win an NBA championship, Ben Simmons will have to consistently shoot the three-point shot and make it. And so at this point, we're just asking Ben Simmons to just attempt shots. He doesn't have to make it, just attempt it, just so he can get a feel, get a rhythm for what to do in a game. Because when the playoffs are at its highest, he is nowhere. The last 2 seasons, he's been nowhere to be found for the Philadelphia 76ers in the second round. He's kind of a non-factor, and it's kind of because you know where he's going. He's trying to get into the paint, so you protect the paint as much as you possibly can and make him pass the ball out, and you don't. And people are leaving him wide open. Brooklyn, I watched a couple games of the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. They just left him wide open like he was a man on an island, and he would drive to the paint, and when he would drive, that's when the defense would collapse in, and so he would have to pass it out. And so that Jimmy Butler loss for Philadelphia, him going to Miami, it's going to show, not only in the regular season but in the playoffs, because they don't have anybody that can fill the role of Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler, he'll be fine in Miami, but the Philadelphia 76ers are going to struggle without Jimmy Butler. It's going to be I don't know where they're going to get their scoring from. I mean, I know Tobias Harris he's known for scoring, but still you need that. Al Horford, he can do a lot, but he's getting older in age. He can't do what Jimmy Butler can, which is handle the ball and shoot off the dribble. Al Horford can spot up from deep and play some defense, hard-nosed defense, and that's what Philadelphia basically got in free agency. And so Philadelphia will be like a top 5, top 10 defense in this league. That's not a question in my mind. And so that's kind of all that I had for you guys today. Thank you for joining in to our podcast, and thank you for listening, and see you guys later.